now. That's why I'm not going to kiss the ring of the status quo to keep it a certain way.
Well, you know who that is, Kim Gardner, the circuit attorney for the city, who just got a smackdown, you might say, by the Missouri Court of Appeals. We talked to journalist John Solomon about it a little earlier this hour because he's the journalist who filed those Freedom of Information requests, or Sunshine Law requests, as we call them in Missouri. And they basically said that she willfully disregarded a court order, the top law enforcement officer in the city. Imagine that. I think my next guest can probably imagine that. He's former Governor Eric Greitens, who was the subject of her persecution. Governor, welcome in.
Hey, Mark. Thanks so much for having me on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to have you on again. And, I just obviously need to get your reaction to this Court of Appeals decision. What are they trying to hide would be my question when you've got a simple request for some emails for particular people and Kim Gardner, and she's even now fighting giving that up.
Yeah, exactly, Mark. Look, this is what she's doing. She's a George Soros-funded prosecutor who went after me after we defeated Antifa and BLM. And as you heard from John, he's asked her for her communications with people in the George Soros organization and also with insiders in Jefferson City, with rhinos, with people associated with the low-income housing tax credit industry, all of these insiders who are stealing from the people of Missouri, who I attacked, who she was communicating with, and she's refusing to turn them over. Obviously, she has something to hide. She has been willfully disregarding these court orders. And you know what's really terrible about this, Mark? There are so many things, but this is just another example. If you or any of your listeners did what Kim Gardner did, you'd be immediately punished by the courts. But there's this different set of standards for the left where they can just get away with perjury, with evidence tampering, with lying for months. Eventually, justice is going to come, and eventually we are going to get those communications between her and the George Soros associate she was working with.
Yeah, I wish that we could. I mean, she's going to appeal this, according to her office. They were disappointed with the court's decision that they might have to give up these names. So maybe someday, and only because of journalists like John Solomon, we might get to the truth here, because the local media seems to have lost interest the minute you resigned.
Well, look, the local media was part of the prosecution. I mean, let's go back and let's remember what's happened now. First, the Missouri Ethics Commission, after the longest investigation in the history of the Missouri Ethics Commission, completely exonerated me. They said we found no evidence of any wrongdoing by Eric Greitens. Then Kim Gardner's handpicked former FBI agent William Kisby was charged with 7 felonies for perjury and evidence tampering for creating a false case against me. Then Kim Gardner was found by the Office of the Chief Disciplinary Counsel to be guilty of over 70 instances of perjury. She now has a hearing set to lose her law license. You had a journalist in the state of Missouri who admitted to paying $120,000 in cash to people who lied about me. And now this is the latest. Now we have the court saying they are willfully disregarding orders to turn over their communications with the people in the Soros organization who they work with to pull this off. But the good news, I will tell Mark, and it's important for patriots around the state to recognize, I have emerged from this. I am stronger, more joyous, more courageous than ever before. Sometimes this persecution comes, this pain comes, you find wisdom on the other side. This suffering comes, you find strength on the other side. We are dealing with this kind of leftist attacks. We see the consequences in the city of St. Louis and around the state, but we can get through this. We are going to defeat them in the end. Eventually, the truth will win out.